Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the editorial from the Boston Globe. Being from New England, from New Hampshire, I thought I would cover the as they're calling it, editorial. I'm more likely to call it a hit piece regarding President Trump calling out the legacy media. Because this is ridiculous. I mean, it's this situation of them going, "We're victims, feel for us." What he's doing is something of a dictator, and he's not calling out all the press. He's literally calling out outlets that they're trying to play off are being critical, but when you're pushing fake Russia bullshit and you're trying to go after his credibility using said fake Russia bullshit and his legitimacy, yeah, he has a right to call you out for that. You're not above reproach or being criticized or critiqued. Okay, just because you are part of the legacy media as an outlet there does not make you special, does not give you privileges that the rest of the world, on the note of independent media, should have. But yet, this is how you see things, that you are an elite class. You saw yourself as an additional part of government, the fourth estate, and that's not how it works. And now that you're losing your power, you're all upset. And now that you have a president who you've tried to vilify, call you out, and not just sit there and take it, you got to play it like this. Let's get into this. Now, this is the editorial board. They don't want to put specifically who was a part of this. And on this note, what I love, and it's just freaking convenient when they're pushing this thing of Trump is inciting violence against the press, that conveniently there's a bomb threat to the Boston Globe. That just seems a little too freaking convenient for me. I mean, I'm not looking from a conspiracy standpoint, but from an optics standpoint, that is a little too freaking convenient. But let's get into the editorial here. Journalists are not the enemy. A central pillar of President Trump's politics is a sustained assault on the free press. No, incorrect. He attacks you for getting in bed with Washington shitpost and doing this hit piece. He attacks them. He attacks CNN. He attacks MSNBC. But these are all outlets that are pushing fake bullshit, trying to go after him. He has a right to call that out. So what you're saying is there is no such thing as free speech when it comes to criticizing the press or calling out the press, because you're an elite class that's that considers themselves part of the fourth estate. It does not work like that. I do not care what you try to claim here. Journalists are not classified as fellow Americans, but rather the enemy of the people. And I love how they take this out of context, okay? And I've said this in other videos before. When they literally take just a snippet, and it's not the full quote, they're blowing smoke up your ass. They're literally being dishonest. Because when you can't take and let what a person says on the face of it stand on its own, and you have to take one little piece of it to push your narrative or to paint a certain picture or to slant things, okay? You're being dishonest, which is exactly what you're being here. This relentless assault on the free press has dangerous consequences. Excuse me? On the free press, has he attacked anyone in the independent media? No. The only people he's attacked are legacy media outlets. But see, you people think that you're the only ones that should be considered the press. And it upsets you that someone like me with a microphone, God, it's going on 5 years old now. A 5-year-old laptop, TV acting as their second monitor off of it, their TV, just basically cobbling things together, can do the same thing that you do. It upsets you. You don't like that. So you got to treat the situation as if this is an attack on the free press and that it's everyone being attacked. No, it's just people who are talking out their asses, who call themselves the press, who pass off lies, editorializing and the like as fact. We asked editorial boards from around the country, liberal and conservative, large and small, to join us today and address this fundamental threat in their own words. Yeah, so basically what you did is all you legacy media hacks got together and decided, oh, we're going to put a bunch of editorials out attacking President Trump. And then they got this, see the hundreds of editorials from around the country, which I bet a lot of them are going to ring true and, well, not true, echo the same sentiments. So you know that this is like the idea of the Sinclair thing that they all whined about and said, oh, look, it's the conservatives. They're conspiring. They're trying to brainwash the public by having these coordinated ads. Now, how Americans view the press. An Ipsos poll released this month took the pulse on how Americans viewed the news media. President Trump should close down mainstream news outlets like CNN, The Washington Post, and New York Times. Okay, I love this. They're trying to portray this as an attack on all the press. The question posed was CNN, Washington Post, and the New York Times. All three outlets that have pushed some really, really, really fake news in regards to Trump with Russia and everything else. I mean, I'm sorry. I hate to break it to you guys. You probably know this. I mean, hell, Assange's mother basically came out and said it was Seth Rich because he won't. He was hinting at it. The Brit who met up with him basically said it was him. So Seth Rich was the one who got the DNC emails. Yet you tried to play this Russia thing. And then CNN with the WikiLeaks dumping these emails going, oh, well, you people to look at them, you peons. I mean, when you got Cuomo going, you peons, you can't view this because it would be illegal. You wonder why we have the results here that we do. It's ridiculous that you try to play this off as something like, oh, we're the victims. Now the total that agree should close down mainstream news outlets. 13% agree, 66% disagree, and 17% neither agree nor disagree. And then there's the don't know factor over here, 3%. Republicans, 23% agree, 49% disagree, 26%, neither agree or disagree, and then 2% don't know. Democrats, 8% agree, 86% disagree, 5% don't agree or disagree, and then 1% don't know. But if you look at the independents, okay, 10% agree, 71% disagree, 15% neither agree or disagree, and then 4% don't know. I mean, they're trying to use these numbers to push this thing of it's an attack. And look at all these people that want us to be shut down. But by these numbers, it kind of goes against what they're saying because the total is 13%, which ain't shit. 13% of the population says that the president should shut you guys down. Well, not you, Boston Globe, but the CNN, which is a stupid question to ask anyways, because it's not like you could. But see, they're using the fact of this particular question, which is a loaded question, to then go into this down here after this thing that basically shows that, oh, you're really not under attack. Replacing a free media with a state-run media has always been the first order of business for any corrupt regime taking over a country. Today in the United States, we have a president who has created a mantra that members of the media who do not blatantly support the policies of the current U.S. administration are the enemy of the people. And I love this, again, in quotes. See, they're being dishonest here, because that's not what he's said. All right? He's attacked CNN for being fake news, which they are. MSNBC for being fake news, which they are. I mean, you You look at the crap that they push. Washington Post, fake news. You guys over at the Boston Globe, you wonder why you ain't worth shit compared to what you used to be worth. And this is beyond the fact of you being the dinosaur side of legacy media, being a newspaper, okay? The reason why your value's in the toilet is because you don't produce content of worth. And this is a good example of it. You really do not produce content of worth. Has Trump attacked the independent media? Has Trump attacked the alternative media? Has Trump attacked anyone beyond CNN, MSNBC, Washington Post, you guys, these legacy outlets that you try to act as you're the only press? Has he done that? No. It's you people pushing the bullshit that you are that causes him to call you out for it. And you don't like it because you want to be able to do what you want to do. And because you're all cultural Marxist, leftist shitbags, you want to be able to use the power of your pen to try to destroy him as a president because he won in a fair and legitimate election. And it's vile. And it's disgusting. And you're trying to say, well, he's attacking us. Well, when you're trying to literally circumvent the will of the people by pushing narratives, you are the enemy of the people. Plain and simple. This is one of the many lies that has been thrown out by this president, much like an old-time charlatan threw out magic dust or water on a hopeful crowd. Whoa! Lies? Excuse me. Lies. You guys were pushing the Steele dossier, all of you in the legacy outlet, and were trying to say that Russian hookers were pissing on a bed that the Obamas slept on, while Trump, being the racist that he was, ran into the bathroom and said that he hated black people, quote unquote. I mean, you got Russian hookers who probably barely, if this was true, who barely probably spoke much English because they weren't there for their linguistic skills. And he's going to run into the bathroom and say he hates black people? This is the type of shit you people were pushing. CNN, with the whole goddamn situation with WikiLeaks and the DNC emails and Chris Cuomo, like I mentioned earlier, saying, oh, well, it's illegal for you guys to read this. Then you have, all the crap that they've pushed. Hell, the Hill lately. It's been complete Trump derangement syndrome central. And they're actually pushing the Omarosa crap. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? I'm like, so you people have, you've lost all touch with reality. And for you to try to portray this like one of many lies that were thrown out by the president, when if you look, the Snopes and PolitiFact whole lie situation, Steven Crowder on his show actually had a guy who went through all these supposed lies, and they turned out to be true. And the Washington Post was a lie. If I can remember, I'm gonna put a link to the segment of it that he put up from his Mug Club part of his show, not the Thursday show that he had the guy on. He did put a clip on YouTube. And go see for yourselves. I'll try to remember to put the link to it in. But go see for yourselves. This guy went through all of the legacy media's claims of lies from Trump, and they turned out to be true. And then they wonder why he's saying that they are the enemy of the people and that they're not truly members of the press, because you're not members of the press. You're not reporting on fact. You're editorializing. You're creating works of fiction. It's disgusting. The liberty of the press is essential to the security of freedom. Yes, exactly. From John Adams. Thank you for putting that up there. Do you know what that meant? The printing press. Not you shitbags. It meant the printing press. Because back then, the idea of the press was literally the printing press. Okay? And being able to print books and leaflets and other documents for distribution. That was the idea and the intent of that. Meaning, including people like me. But see, you don't want us out there. That's why we see, especially with conservatives at first here right now, this mass deplatforming going on in part. It's also the fact that the midterms are coming up. But, I mean, this is surely a factor. For more than 2 centuries, this foundational American principle has protected journalists at home and has served as a model for free nations abroad. Today it is under serious threat, and it sends an alarming signal to despots from Ankara to Moscow, Beijing to Baghdad, that journalists can be treated as a domestic enemy. Okay. Let's look at this, because if you look at the independent media, because you said, oh, we're a model? Well, then how come in Europe, if you're not pushing the leftist fucking narrative bullshit, you end up like, Tommy Robinson for calling out the fact of the grooming gangs, which I don't even like calling it that. Well, let's call it what it is. Rape gangs. For calling out the truck driving types of peace, rape gangs. For them, he reports on that. And look what happens to him. And you're trying to say, well, so what you're saying is you want the independent press, which would be people like me, like Tommy Robinson. Well, I don't consider myself a member of the press, but I guess where I report on this stuff and I counter your narrative, I guess these days, even though I don't want to be looked at that way, I might be considered that. But, like on the note of your interpretation of it, the printing press, I am the press, but on your interpretation of it. But the thing is, you want people that are in the independent media to have that happen to them, because you're saying, oh, it's been around the world, and look at, yeah. Well, Europe, anyone who doesn't tote the line, who says anything that could upset someone, which usually true things do, they end up getting arrested. Count Dankula. It was a joke. I mean, this is ridiculous. So, excuse me, if you say that it's been serving as a model for free nations abroad, the fact of the idea of the First Amendment and freedom of press and such, speech, etc., then why aren't you calling out what's going on in England with the silencing of Tommy Robinson, or, having people banned entry because, they're press and they've said stuff critical of the same truck drivers of peace ideology and the extremism that's involved with its normal practice. I mean, Lauren Southern, why did I say Laura? She dealt with that. And I would consider her a member of the press. The press is necessary to a free society because it does not implicitly trust leaders, from the local planning board to the White House. And it is not a coincidence that this president, whose financial affairs are murky, and whose suspicious patterns of behavior triggered his own Justice Department to appoint an independent counsel to investigate him, has tried so hard to intimidate journalists to provide independent scrutiny. Ha ha ha! Oh my God! Wow! And you wonder why. You wonder why. People do not like you. Yes, the press is necessary. Okay, meaning the printing press. To a free society. And to say, which the printing press itself, okay, does not distrust or trust. It is those who wield it as a means of communication that do not implicitly that will either trust or distrust. And here's the thing. This is fucking hilarious coming from you at the Boston Globe. You sucked Obama's cock for 8 fucking years. You sucked Hillary's fucking bigger dick than his. You sucked her fucking dick so hard. It was coming out your asshole the wrong way. You were deep-throating it so much. I remember seeing all your pro-Hillary shit. So for you to say that it does not implicitly trust leaders, when you're literally sucking their dick, you trust them. Because you trust them enough that they're not going to choke you and gag you, and fucking take you out with that. Because that would be one shitty way to go. Choked by a fucking Democrat's dick. And whose financial affairs are murky? Excuse me? I love how you bring that part up because Mad Cow, Maddow, she got a copy of his tax returns and it turned out to be absolutely nothing. Come to find out he's paid more taxes than a lot of you people. And what suspicious pattern of behavior? This is completely talking out of your ass. We all know that the Steele dossier was the basis to open up the investigation, which turned out to be completely fake. But you people have to try to keep pushing that, oh, it was his behavior. It wasn't no trumped up fucking fake dossier. That it was opposition research. That was what was literally used to open the investigation and to get the goddamn FISA warrants. You people are pathetic. The news media is the enemy of the American people. 29% agree, looking at their little chart here. This was an ISWIS poll conducted August 3 through 6th from 1,003 adults. 29%, yeah. 48% disagree. 21, neither agree or disagree. And then 2% don't know. Republican, yeah, 48%. I'm an independent. I mean, I'm a libertarian. I'm a constitutionalist. I'm a minarchist constitutionalist libertarian. I'm very close to the founding fathers in my beliefs. And I agree with that. And I love how they're trying to slant this out. Like, oh, well, watch, they're going to probably, up here, they're going to be like, look at the Republicans. Look at they believe. They're lost. They don't know. They're stupid. 28% disagree. 22% neither agree or disagree, and 2% don't know. Democrat, because, your average Democrat is so fucking numb and dumbed down these days, no offense. Average, I said. We're talking average one. 12% agree, 74% disagree, 13% don't know, neither agree or disagree, and then 1% don't know. Independent. 26% agree, which independents, you look at the total, they're almost in line with the total. That should say something. That should really say something. 50% disagree, 23% neither agree or disagree, and 1% don't know. There was once broad, bipartisan, intergenerational agreement in the United States that the press played this important role. Oh, you mean when the press... Like, I love how you keep choosing the term the press, which is intended to be the printing press. But you're trying to make it sound like you are the press. The press could be me. The press could be Sticks Hexenhammer 666, Dave Cullen, fucking... Secular Talk, fucking whatever the fuck his name is. David fucking, I can't believe he's a journalism student, journalism professor Packman, okay, because he's a fucking hack. They all can be considered the press. You're not the only ones. And you're talking about, because, see, a lot of the millennial generation that tend to get their content from alternative sources that do not buy into the legacy media, and Gen Z, that's followed them. Even Gen X. But Gen X grew up at the point of the transition to, from legacy media types like television and getting news and your entertainment from it, newspapers. We went through the transition of, from newspaper, radio, television, to internet. And we saw how you guys controlled the flow of information. And that's why you're screwed now. And you never adapted to the change in technology. On top of that, If you had at least adapted, you'd be doing better than you are now. It's adapt or die. Yet that view is no longer shared by many Americans. The news media is the enemy of the American people is a sentiment endorsed by 48% of Republicans surveyed this month by Ipsos polling firm. That poll is not an outlier. One published this week found 51% of Republicans considered the press the enemy of the people rather than an important part of the democracy. You know what's funny? See, news media, meaning Washington Post, Boston Globe, CNN, all you fucking establishment hacks that wrote these editorials, means you people, not the press. The press is the printing press, meaning as modern times adapted to it, like creating videos or blogs or websites, that's the press, not just you. And I love how you do this. Oh, how you also take here, again, being dishonest shitbags. You don't say what the exact question asked of the poll was. I mean, here you are. You're interjecting that Republicans consider the press, then you quote, the enemy of the people rather than an important part of democracy. What exactly was the fucking poll, you dishonest shitbags? This is what gets me about this. I mean, this is so disgusting. This really is. Trump's attack feedback loop helps explain why his faithful are following him in to an undemocratic territory. What? Because they don't suck your dick and buy everything you're selling. They're following him into an undemocratic territory. I support Trump. I voted for Trump. I'm a libertarian. I'm a minarchist fucking libertarian. I ain't following anyone into an undemocratic territory. You are fake news. You don't like being called out for being propagandist lying shitbags. If you weren't propagandist lying shitbags, you wouldn't be called propagandist lying shitbags. It's that simple. Oh my God, if you actually did not operate in an interest against the American people, you wouldn't have the issue you do. More than a quarter of Americans now say that the president should have the authority to close news outlets engaged in bad behavior. Again, being dishonest. You take something quoted out of context. What's the exact context, please? Because I'm sure as shit gonna bet it isn't this. Including 43% of Republicans. You are so dishonest because you're trying to portray the Republicans as evil and bad when they're the ones fighting for freedom of speech. They're the ones getting censored on Twitter. And, oh my God, conservatives are getting censored on Twitter. Proud Boys. Alex Jones is, whether you agree or disagree with him, mass deplatforming. Considered a conservative. The Jihad Watch off of Patreon because MasterCard somehow, has a fucknut over there that came up with that manifest observable fucking destiny fucking crap. Behavior, I mean. Because they've got him by his fucking Johnson, he kicked off Jihadi Watch. When they don't do anything wrong. And you wonder why people think when you're doing hit pieces to go after conservatives on YouTube, they're advertising money? Because those were the people, skeptics and conservatives were the ones who really felt the pinch from the ad apocalypse. You wonder why Republicans take issue with you? Oh, wow. 13% of those surveyed thought that President Trump should close down mainstream news outlets like CNN, The Washington Post, and The New York Times. Yes, you're all fake news. You're all propaganda. And what gets me is you legacy media outlets have all been corrupted under Operation Mockingbird, okay, to where you're puppets of the Central Intelligence Agency. This is declassified documents here we're talking about. This was an actual CIA program which violated their mandate of operating within the United States, mind you. But they basically took over every one of these legacy media outlets. They had someone in there to control shit. They bought off reporters. They bought off the management. They bought off anyone and everyone they could. And considering the CIA is ripe with deep state, I wonder why all these legacy media outlets, besides having flaming far left leftist shitbags as supposed reporters and media personalities, are going after someone that they don't like. Because ideologically, that gravy train of Operation Mockingbird, your cultural Marxist crap you believe in, all of it is coming crumbling down. So you're putting up a fight, and you're trying to go out the way you came in, kicking and screaming, arms flailing, and covered in someone else's blood. But you know what? You're the ones that are going to end up going down. Trump can't outlaw the press from doing its job. Wow. Trump can't outlaw the press from doing its job here, of course. But the model of inciting his supporters in this regard to how 21st century authorians like Vladimir Putin and Recep Tayyip Erdogan operate, you don't need formal censorship to strangle a supply of information. They got to slip in that. Look at Trump, Russia. Trump and Russia. We got to throw in the Vladimir Putin reference. I mean, this is ridiculous. It really is. And the thing is, you idiots love Marxism. You idiots love communism. You want to talk about authoritarian. Every communist regime wiped out the press. Pretty much. Or at least the press that was there when they were taking over. Trump's apologists feebly insist that he is referring only to biased coverage rather than the entire Fourth Estate. See, this is what gets us. The entire Fourth Estate. You are not part of the fucking government, but you think you are. And the fact that you no longer matter on that note and you can't tell people what to think, you're upset. And no, they're talking about biased outlets like you. And the entire Fourth Estate. You're not the Fourth Estate. You are not part of the government, but you want it to be like you are. You want to have a say. You want to feel like you're special. You're not. When someone like me, as I said, with a 5-year-old laptop, cobble together a bunch of shit and start doing this, you're fucked. But the president's own words and long track record show again and again just how deeply cynical and dishonest this argument is. Excuse me? No, it's pretty fucking accurate. The nation's founding fathers took for granted that the press would be biased, and yet still they explicitly enshrined the freedom of journalists and publishers in the Constitution. Our liberty depends on the freedom of the press and cannot be limited without being lost, wrote Thomas Jefferson. Okay, yes, meaning the printing press. Okay? But see, you're trying to put yourself off as we are the press. We are the Fourth Estate. We are the only ones that should be talking about this. And because people are going elsewhere, and we've got a president who doesn't want to just sit there while we fuck him up the ass without Vaseline, while we lie about him, and we try to say he's illegitimate because we didn't like the fact that he won a fair election. You're pulling this shit because of that. You are vile people over at the Boston Globe. And reading this, I'm actually thinking you faked your own fucking bomb scare. You fucking shitbags. And I'm sorry my language just got bad, but I mean, I've been trying to keep it, I got good up to this point for the most part. This is ridiculous. Our tradition of a free press is a vital part of our democracy, is as important as ever. Ronald Reagan. Yes, he said that. And you know what? Back then, you still had a bunch of little local and regional newspapers and television stations, and there was independent ownership in the media, and that meant that you still, even though you were the big players, had to an extent a free press. Now, where you've got four major corporations owning everything when it comes to that type of situation with the newspapers and the TV stations and everything else, you don't have a free press. And you know this. You have to. You people aren't that stupid. And with how you go after the independent press, that speaks volumes to you knowing this. American politicians of all parties since the founders have groused about the media, trying to work the refs by arguing that the news is biased against their tribe. Going to show how little you know. When the founding fathers created this country, and they pretty much all wrote about this and made it clear. They were against political parties. There were no political parties. Yet you're trying to make it sound like, oh, there were. We got to push this narrative. Because we got to say, oh, it's against our tribe. No, you are biased against the president. But there was always respect for the press as an institution. Yes, because back then, up until the buyouts that the large corporations were really doing through the 80s and 90s, of local outlets, there was technically still a free press. But now there isn't, and you want to be the only game in town. You want to push false narratives, lies, bullshit, and your ideology. That's what it comes down to. It was not long ago that Ronald Reagan proclaimed, our tradition of a free press is a vital part for our democracy, as a vital part of our democracy as important as ever. Yeah, the press was to serve the governed, not the governor. Supreme Court Justice Hugo Black wrote in 1971. Yeah, back when, as I said, there was a lot of mom and pop, local and regional newspapers and television stations and such. Wow. I'm sorry, I just have to take a minute here because I'm really trying to avoid getting into Tourette's situation where I'm going to be like Rocco from the Boondock Saints when the brothers drag him into the room at the Copley. And he's like, what the fucking. I'm going to be like that. I seriously am. Would that it were still the case. Today, the only media that Trump movements accept as legitimate are those that are unquestionably advocate for his leader personally. Bullshit. Bullshit, 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 bullshit. Bullshit. The president should have the authority to close news outlets engaged in bad behavior. Yeah, they should. If they are literally committing seditious acts by falsely passing off information. We're talking on the idea of they're trying to undermine the government. I mean, I believe in free press, and I'm not saying news outlets. They're corporations. They're not the press. If they are literally biased, I'm not calling for them to be closed. What I'm getting at is I don't think they should be closed. But if you literally have, say, for example, the Chinese government has infiltrated the Boston Globe, we'll say. I mean, hell, that can put people in they can put some dude in as Feinstein's driver. So what does that tell you? But let's say the Chinese government had taken over the Boston Globe. And it was knowingly using it to... I couldn't even say then, honestly. I mean, I disagree with this, but I mean, I understand if someone, what I'm getting at is I understand someone saying this because, like, with the idea of, say, a foreign power gains control of an outlet through subversion, whatever. Because this is the idea of, and the Red Scare was real. I suggest you people go look up Razor Fist's video if you want a quick breakdown. I may do one on it myself, but his is very informative. The Red Scare was real, and McCarthy never looked into Hollywood. He looked into the government, and he looked in to academia. And he found major communist infiltration that was funded by the USSR. And in a situation like that, I mean, I can see if that was a situation, rare case maybe, but I don't agree with it, you know, in general. So, I mean, but they're doing a broad statement here. I mean, I'm just giving a very narrow thing here. I mean, because that type of situation, if they had gone through and got all the foreign Soviet agents out of academia, and this is why I go, you know what I mean? If they had gone through and weeded out all of the communist agents in academia, we wouldn't have the situation we do now with cultural Marxism. Because even though the communist bloc fell apart, the wall fell, the Iron Curtain fell, you had these people who believed in communism still, what's the word I'm looking for? Embedded. Not quite the word I'm looking for, but it'll work. Embedded into academia. Now they're hardcore believers. Now these people, they need a new way to sell the communism. Even though they're not getting paid by the USSR, they still want that communism. So they started pushing the cultural Marxism. If they were weeded out, we wouldn't have the situation we're dealing with now. Just saying. And I don't believe any news outlet should be closed down. I mean, like I said, there's that one example that I can give that I could maybe go with. Not really, but I could go, I can see. But I would still be against the idea of it. But if you look, 26% agree, 53% disagree, 17% neither agree or disagree, and 4% don't know. And this is on that one total. The Republicans, 43% agree, which I'm thinking this is kind of slanted. 36% disagree, 18% neither agree or disagree, 3% don't know. Democrat, 12% agree, 74% disagree, 12% neither agree or disagree, and 2% don't know. And I've got a feeling that they sort of, when you look at these numbers, especially with this one, because they're trying to portray Republicans and conservatives and the such as authoritarian when the left is being authoritarian. This Ipsos poll, I really think was like the typical Hillary Clinton campaign type poll where they oversample Democrats to try to push a false narrative. Because, I mean, look, 12% of Democrats agree, 74% disagree, 12% neither agree or disagree, 2% don't know. Then you look, independents, 21% agree, 55% disagree, 19% neither agree or disagree, and 1% don't know. I mean, if you look, this is to definitely try to portray the Republicans as bad. And to an extent, I honestly kind of look at it and go, yeah, you people are a little sleazy. I mean, I could be wrong, but it seems to me like they specifically chose their sampling. Indeed, it's not just that the president is stoking domestic division for political and personal gain. He's asking his audience to follow him into Fantasia. Just stick with us. Don't believe the crap you see from these people, the fake news, he told an audience in Kansas last month. I love how you take shit out of context, okay? You are sleazy, dishonest people, and you're the ones that are stoking domestic division. You are the ones that are inciting the left to where they've been the ones assaulting people on the right, okay? Hell, conservative Christians want to have a prayer walk. let's incite little shitbags so they go on, because we'll call them Nazis, we'll call them far right, we'll call them alt right, and we'll let these little leftist shitbags go and beat them down, and the soy boys got their asses handed to them. You're the ones who took the traditional male chauvinist organization, the Proud Boys, and portrayed them like they were fucking Nazis, you types, when they're not. They're run-of-the-mill traditional, like traditionalists that have like all creeds in their freaking organization and colors. And you wonder why you're fake news. No, you're the ones that are in fucking Fantasia. And he said way more than just that. Just remember what you're seeing, what you're reading. It is not what is happening. George Orwell put it more gracefully in his novel 1984. The party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final and most essential command. Okay, yes, exactly. Thank you. You just screwed yourselves with that one. You wonder why the people have issue with you. It's because you call yourself the Fourth Estate. You think you're part of the government, and you have the right to dictate what people fucking think. That is literally 1984. And then you stupid idiots decide to quote why people hate you. It's because you're telling people to reject the evidence of their eyes and ears. You have done that. Okay, good example. During the campaign, prior to when Trump said he was running for president, all you people on the left, oh, he's so progressive. Look at all the minorities and gays and lesbians and women and such that he hires. He's very, very forward thinking on that note. Look at all of his management. A large chunk of them are from these minority groups. Then, oh, he's running for president. Oh, he's running Republican. Trump's Hitler. That's what you fucking did. And you told people to reject the evidence of their eyes and ears. Because you're saying Trump is Hitler. You people are fucking disgusting. It is an essential endpoint to Trump's deluge of dishonesty that he now contests objective reality and urges his supporters to do the same. In the first 558 days of his presidency, Trump made 4,229 false or misleading claims, according to a list compiled by the Washington Post. Okay, all right, I am remembering to put the fucking link in now. From the Crowder thing. The Washington Post got destroyed on that by the guy that Steven Crowder had on. I love this. The Washington Post, the biggest purveyor of fake news, said that he made 4,229 false and misleading claims. Believe us. See, what gets me is they didn't even back it up with actual evidence. One of them. And this one was the beautiful one. They actually tried to refute the Pocahontas thing with Pocahontas Warren by saying, well, she also had high cheekbones. It was more than just what her mother said. It's like, or no, they said it was more than just her high cheekbones that she talks about. There was a lot of family stuff said about it. That still doesn't prove it. And they claimed that was a lie. What he said about Pocahontas Warren, because supposedly there were stories from family members. So that was one of their actual lies. I'm definitely putting the link in the description. Yet, among Trump supporters, only 17% think that the administration regularly makes false claims. Alternative facts have become the de facto. No, actual facts have become the fucking de facto. Because people actually, his supporters, don't listen to you. They actually go out and look for themselves. They don't look at Fox News or Breitbart. They actually go out and they do the research for themselves. And you don't like that. Lies are anticipated to be informed to an informed citizenry. Lies are anticipated to an informed citizenry responsible for self-governance. The greatness of America is dependent on the role of a free press to speak the truth to the powerful, to label the press the enemy of the people, which I love how you're doing this out of context again. He did not say the press. He said outlets like CNN, you, Washington Shitpost, and so on and so forth are the enemy of the people, because you are. Is an un-American, is as un-American as it is dangerous to the civic compact we have shared for more than 2 centuries. Oh, well, see, you honestly thought, you people thought that you would be the elite class forever. You spent all these monies on all this money on journalism degrees, and you're hardcore cultural Marxists. You wanted Hillary to win, and all your ideas and dreams are just coming and crashing down on you, and you can't handle it. How favorable do you think the New York Times is? They got them for all the outlets here. Washington Post. Let's see CNN. Oh my God, this is fucking rigged. CNN 55. Trustworthy. Total 59% of Americans think CNN is trustworthy. They can't. They have to pay people to put that shit on. They literally pay doctors' offices and train stations and banks and every place else to play them. When you have to do that, you're not trustworthy. Oh my God. I mean, this is the end of the article. So let's, real quick before I end this, because I mean, we're already at almost an hour here. Let's go to Huffington Post. 46%. Favorable. They're 51% trustworthy. As a total. Oh, God. I'm going to definitely put the link for this in the article along with the Steven Crowder video that destroys the bullshit from the Washington Post and the supposed lies. I mean, the guy actually went through and he did it. It's not some bullshit thing. Now, BuzzFeed News, one of the major fake news players, publisher of the Piss Dossier, 57% believe they're untrustworthy. Democrats, 58% believe they're trustworthy. Oh my God. Yeah. I suggest you go down to their bottom thing here and go through. I mean, the Washington Post, 60% trustworthy. Ha ha. Bullshit. 87% of Democrats supposedly think, they pulled the same shit that the poll takers did back in the days of when Hillary was running. They definitely oversampled the fucking the Democrats just a little bit. 87%. Oh Lord. Oh yeah. I really don't believe that. Now that is fake news. That 87% of Democrats think Washington Post is trustworthy. Oh, God. This is hilarious. Anyways, I think I've covered this well enough. As I said, I felt that I should go through the Boston Globe's hit piece, editorial, and their victim signaling fucking bullshit here. We're under attack. Excuse me. The alternative press. The alternative media, which is a term I would prefer because the press is meant to be the printing press. The medium. Not the players. Not the people. It's the medium. The press. You are members, of that medium, but you are not the medium itself. But you don't want that distinction to be made. And because they don't want that distinction to be made, this way they can cry victimhood. They want to try to go after Trump for the fact that he's calling them out for lying to the American people. Because they are lying more often than not these days. I mean, it's pretty bad when in the 2016 election cycle, the National Enquirer is actually reporting more factual news. I mean, they were the ones who broke the whole Wiener thing. I mean, they were the ones who broke a lot of shit back during that, like with Hillary and everything else. So that should say a lot when they're more credible than you guys and actually reported stuff that was critical of the Clintons. And what gets me is you tried to push the Russian narrative in here. You tried to compare Trump to Putin. I mean, you try to act like, well, we're the press and we report the facts. But this was just literally one biased fucking bullshit thing. Anyways, as I said, I've covered this well enough. I'm just going to leave things here. If you liked this video, depending on where you are watching it, please give it an upvote or thumbs up. If you want to know when new content of mine hits the internet, don't forget to subscribe to one or more of my social media or video accounts listed here. Also, with YouTube, don't forget to ring that bell. You can find all of my video content on both BitChute and YouTube. This may not be the case with other places I upload to, but I will try to minimize this happening. You are always welcome to interact with me at any of these sites on the list, so feel free to do so. If you have anything you want me to cover in a video when it comes to news or current events, send it right along to me. I will try to do my best to cover it. As always, thank you for watching.